So this will be my first ride on my beautiful new 2023 M1000RR. Zach, the master mechanic, did the PDI and checked it over, and he took it for a ride, and he couldn't stop raving about the machine. But now I get to experience it for the very first time. He says it's totally different than an S1000RR, and even different than my last 2021 M1000RR. I'm going to find out. So I already set it up to connect to my phone and to my helmet device that I'm using for communication. That was super easy. This is a cold start, and we can hear that it revs pretty rapidly on the cold start, and I think that perhaps it'll settle down in just a moment. Yeah, settling down. Very cool. Zach also switched to the GP shift for me, which is, if you didn't know, is reversed shift on these beasts. That's how I prefer to ride my sport bikes. All of my bikes are GP shift except for my R1250 GS Adventure. But I love the Gillies rear sets. I get to experience them with my preferred riding gear, Alpinestars. Awesome riding boots. So let's see what this is all about. Adjust my mirrors a bit. They're still adjusted for Zach, the master mechanic's use. Much better. Okay, well, first things first, I can tell you the seating position is very nice, of course, on this bike. And like Zach mentioned, the M seat has changed. It's wider and it's very comfortable. It's not as paper thin as the previous 2021 model was. And if you're not familiar with BMW sport bikes, S1000s in particular, these bikes do have a rev limit, so you can't exceed 8,000 RPM for the first at least 400 miles until you get your first service done and then authorized BMW's service center dealership, and they hook it up to their computer and remove that rev limit. So you're not going to see any super fast blazing speeds out of me today. The bike only has 14 miles on it at this time, but I can tell you it feels great. The throttle feels super responsive. It actually feels more peppy, believe it or not, than my 2021 M felt with the thinner head gasket mod, Bryn tuning and everything. And this bike is still stock, so it doesn't have Bryn tuning yet, and yet it feels really nice and responsive. I'm not feeling that flat spot that is plagued. Let me shift it down to second gear and see if we have that flat spot. Yeah, flat spot still there. So apparently they still have to pass emissions and all that for this machine. And as you know, the flat spot easily removed with the Bryn tuning ECU flash, which is one of the first things that we get done to my machines, typically at first service. But wow, the handling of this bike is really nice. And there's that rev limit kicked in on me. Yeah, it's nice, even with the stock suspension that I'm going to replace with my lean suspension off of my 2021 M. So this is going to be improved, but in stock form, it's really nice. And you really wouldn't want to go blazing down this stretch of roadway because it's sort of bumpy and all that at speeds faster than this. So this is a good way to gauge this motorcycle's handling characteristics. Oh boy, as you see, or as you can hear in my voice, I'm getting jaunted all over the place. And even though this bike does not have a DDC, dynamic dampening suspension, it's a fixed suspension, it still handles those bumps pretty nicely. Albeit an S1000 with DDC would handle it a little better. The M Gillies rear sets are super comfortable. We have them in the position they were in when we took possession of this bike, so I guess we can call it the stock position. We haven't changed it, and it's great. For my 13 size Alpinestars clad foot, it's really nice in the stock configuration. Wow. Impressive machine. One of the things that gets me immediately is just how nice this cockpit looks now that it's surrounded by carbon fiber. Oh man, and there's absolutely no sign of plastics anywhere. And believe it or not, we know that this is the same size thin film transistor instrument cluster as the S1000s, but trust me folks, it appears to be larger because of the surround, right? Because of the carbon fiber and everything else and how it's so neatly integrated in there, it gives you the impression that it's larger, but of course it's not, because you saw in the last video we fitted the TFT protector onto the bike, and it's the same one used on the S1000RR and the GS's and all of the rest of the BMWs that have, I believe it's an 8.5-inch TFT gauge cluster. But you definitely finally feel like, by looking at all this carbon, you definitely feel like you're riding a bespoke, expensive, not ordinary machine. Even on the aftermarket side, we've never been able to get our cockpits with this amount of carbon and to look this absolutely clean as this machine looks right now straight out of the box. So that's great for owners like me that want a little something to separate yourselves from the run-of-the-mill S1000RRs and the other bikes out there. Now with this colorway, with all the carbon fiber, you've got that. Of course, this is still a version of the S1000RR, so cruise control still works on this beautiful track-ready weapon, and that is really nice, as does heated grips. 3 levels of heated grips on this machine, turn-by-turn navigation, all that good stuff, caller ID with pictures, you know, very nice triple tree now, looks very cool. So they didn't take away any of the things that we're used to on the S1000RRs for this beautiful bike. You can still cruise down the highway and use hand gestures when you're moto vlogging. Yeah, and now of course, since I'm still breaking this motorcycle in, it only has 24 miles on the odometer. I'm not going to use cruise control. I'm going to kick it in gear and modulate the throttle as best I can, not leaving it at a fixed RPM for any duration of time, just to help this engine get broken in to spec and as it's supposed to, because I want this motorcycle to be as fast as it can possibly be. So I'm going to go through these measures to see to it. I'm also going to break in my soon-to-be collected 2023 Ducati Panigale V4R in the exact same way. There won't be any smackdowns on those bikes until I have the break-in done and they have at least 500 miles on them. So stay tuned for that, huh? Exhaust is super quiet stock form. Has a catalytic converter on it. It's pretty huge. But that's one of the first things that we do to this machine at the first service is get rid of the stupid exhaust and replace it with something that's nice, loud, and rowdy. I'm going with the exact same aero exhaust that was on our giveaway BMW HPX. I love the way that thing sounds. And I love the way it looks. So that's what we're going to use on this machine. We had the Akrapovic with a carbon fiber canister, titanium headers and mid-pipe on my last M1000RR, so we do like to switch things up. I know you guys don't believe that, but we actually do. And that's what we're doing in this case as well. So my first, I don't know, 25 miles on the bike, and it's just fantastic, guys. As to be expected. I mean, BMW rarely, if ever, disappoints when they produce a motorcycle. They spend a lot of time developing, testing, and once it's presented to the public for purchasing, it's usually ready to go and in great shape. No exception here. Although I'm super excited to get the remaining 361 miles on the bike, taking it to 400. That's exactly what Zach the Master Mechanic likes to see when you try to bring your bike in to get it, to get the first service done. Get this rev limit removed, get the exhaust installed, the Bryn tuning, ECU flash applied to the motorcycle. That's going to be awesome. So the motorcycle, of course, the S1000s, M1000s have self-canceling turn signals, and they actually deactivate in a very reasonable amount of time. Some other motorcycles also feature self-canceling turn signals, but it takes quite a while for those machines to deactivate. This one, nice and quick. Super easy to switch the rear sets from standard to reverse / GP shift on this bike. Can do it in 2 seconds. That's nice. Doesn't require different sets of rear sets or anything like that. There's a lot of advantages to owning this machine over some of the other bikes out there. And we're here at Ducati Cleveland's Wednesday bike night. Well, we'll be able to see folks, but more importantly, I'll be able to get an update on when in the heck I can expect to see my beautiful 2023 Panigale V4R make it. Oh, look at that. Big turnout, as always, at this place. Got a food truck and everything. 1000RR is actually taller in stock form than the Panigale V4S, which means it's probably going to be taller than my Panigale V4R. That's insane. Oh yeah! Oh, Frank and Frank! Yeah, look at that! I can't believe this bike is actually taller than the Panigale V4S. That's insane. The M1000RR with the rev limit on it still has a top speed with my fat arse. 120 miles an hour. Won't go any faster than that, guys. 120. Oh boy. Bryn tuning to the rescue, please. Because 120, that's not fast enough. It can barely get out of its own way. Ridiculous. But if it helps preserve the motor for longevity, I'm fine with it. So I didn't rack up too many miles on the bike today. Spent most of the time chatting with good buddies and such at Ducati Cleveland's bike night. Everybody got to see this machine. My son Frankie Flatfoot, I'm sure, produced lots of Instagram reels and TikToks on this bike. I handed him the key to it, so hopefully he tags me in that material. But everyone that got to see this bike in person loves it. No one complained about the huge winglets or anything else. Everybody loves all the carbon fiber that's on this machine. You would too if you have an opportunity to see this bike, and I'm going to do just that. Take this bike around the United States for people to see it, because it'll be very rare, if ever, that you'll see one in the dealership. And most of the folks that buy these bikes are going to use them for track-only machines, huh? So yeah, once mine is fully modified with all my parts off my old 2021 M1000RR, you will see this bike at my meetups. So stay tuned for that. Alright folks, hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to continue riding home. We'll catch you next time, where I'll probably be doing the first service on the M1000RR and adding the exhaust, Bryn tuning, ECU flash, and more amazing parts. So keep watching. We'll catch you next time on the 650 EB YouTube channel. I'm going to get in my relaxing position all the way home.